we just talked about the big picture, right? We're going to pretty much stay in big picture, but then we're going to dive in a little bit more, go big picture. With each module, we're going to be talking about the same thing, but from a different angle. So it's like it's an elephant. Remember the story with all the blind people touching the elephant, and one says it's a trunk and one says it's a foot, and they're all right, but they're not seeing the big picture. So the water is a foot, and the cardiac coherence is the tail, and these are all pieces of an emerging whole, an emerging emergence of a sense of beingness, being an integration between physical, subtle body, planet, environment, connectedness, resonance, coherence. And I think I just described primary respiration. Basically, how it is that all of these forces happen in support of life in a resonant way that is cyclic in relation to the planet and the forces of nature, and how that is the ocean that we live, that's the sea that we swim in, that we largely have chosen to decide doesn't exist, and doesn't make it inaccurate, that it's still probably the single most relevant contributor to health, not health. And we see that in all the mindfulness research and all the research around how effective Qigong is at healing just about anything without speaking to the mechanism. What we're talking about is this very same thing, dropping into entrainment, coherence with this greater symphony of life. And then the collective lives separate from that. But as we explore it together and share our stories and grow new neurons for recognizing that location, then we, over the course of this period of time, and the research shows it really only takes 6 to 8 weeks of some kind of daily attuning practice. They're not even talking about group practice or the depth of the kind of practices you, for instance, would be doing. Our practice this week, I will share my suggestion, is that we do this very simple thing of getting present to this, our sense of the most minute, the silence, the stillness, and the most expansive, and practicing what it feels like to hold all of that while we feel our tissues, to connect the entire thing to the body. And I'm trying to do it all the time. I mean, it actually makes quick work of meditative practice in a sense, because when I finally get down on the floor to do my practice, I'm not starting from scratch. It doesn't take me time to drop in. Or if I do some really intense athletic something over the weekend, I'm not starting from so unrecruited that I'm going to injure myself, right? This hydrating of and entraining of all the tissues keeps us engaged and adaptable, and then we have more capacity to keep working our systems to higher levels of ability and adaptability.